Hey guys, Zach here and welcome back to a brand new episode of Danganronpa. We are here continuing right where we left off. Now, something I need to talk about before this video starts. I'm sorry about my freaking mic audio in parts 11 and 12. My microphone wasn't on. After uploading those videos, I realized I go back to them, my microphone was not on for both of them. Sorry about that, you can't freaking hear anything I was saying. Which, yeah, that kind of sucked. Anyways, I'm not gonna freaking redo those because you're here in the class trial. Not since I was talking about this all the freaking time in that video, but you can freaking hear me because my microphone was off. So let me say what I was thinking. I honestly think I got it down like exactly what it is. So we know all the events that happened. I want to try and make a guess of this entire case before the trial starts to see how ahead, like, exact on I was. I think the killer is Celeste. I think Celeste is the blackened that we need to vote out. Because, let me do a quick recap of the people that are here. Because I usually forget names, not truthful. I usually forget names when I do this safely. Not me, obviously. Why the hell would it be Makoto? Taka's dead, can't be him. Byakuya was with Toko the whole freaking time. They got an alibi. Fumi's dead, can't be him. Whenever the game makes it seem like it's obviously somebody, it isn't. That's just how the game works. That's how the story works. So it is not Hiro. Kyoko, it's not her. She was with us most of the time. Fumi was with Sakura the whole time. Toko was with Byakuya the whole time. And only leaves Celeste. That's just how it is. Celeste is the only one left out. What I think happened was, I think Celeste was an accomplice with Hifumi. What happened was, they were both making up this whole damn story of freaking Robo Justice, pretending like, oh no, I got attacked. Oh no, he gave me a boo-boo on my shoulder. He gave me a little boo-boo. Oh no. And then when we found Hifumi's dead body in the nurse's office, he wasn't dead. I have some evidence for that. One. Notice how his body just got up and moved. The only person who could have actually moved his body from the first to third floor would be Sakura. And obviously she didn't do it. She was with us like the whole time. So if it can't be her, that means nobody would even be able to move his body. Two, when we found his body in the repository, his glasses were almost unclean, which means he cleaned his glasses himself so he'd be able to walk around and be able to move Taka's body into that room. Three, there's all that blood there because there's plenty of blood packets in the little mini fridge in the nurse's office. He could have just used any one of those. So he faked his death. The reason why the body discovery announcement played was because the other three found Taka's body at literally the same time, which is all part of freaking Celeste's plan. Then, Fumi got up, he went, and then, like, as, like, Hina and Celeste left, he got up, went to Taka's body, put on, like, the little, like, stroller thingy, whatever the frick that thing's called, with the tarp around him, and pushed it all the way over to the repository. Then, the reason why freaking Robo Justice couldn't have done it, Hina said when she put on the costume that you can't bend down to the waist. Push the little cart thing, you have to be able to bend down to push it. So Hiro couldn't have done that. Also, then he pushed it into that room. Notice how the door was locked when we first went to the repository to check if it was there. That's because right as Hifumi walked into there, Celeste was waiting for him to walk in. So as he was walking in, she closed the door, locked it, and then Hifumi placed the body down. And then right as he placed it down, Celeste took one of the hammers on the wall, bonked him on the head, killed him, then went and cleaned that hammer, which is why when we were investigating, the hammer was freshly cleaned. And then all she had to do was unlock the door, leave, and pretend that she had just found the bodies in the repository. And another evidence pointing towards this is the picture that Celeste took of quote-unquote Robo Justice dragging away Hifumi. I think it's the other way around. I think it's Hifumi dragging away Robo Justice. Because keep in mind, like Hiro said, he got like passed out. And I do kind of believe him because Taka got like the same note that he said he had gotten. So I think what they did was Celeste and Hifumi lured Hiro into the rec room, passed him out, like used like some drug to make him go sleep. Then they put him into the Robo Justice suit, which they could have just measured his body while he was passed out. Just keep in mind, he was passed out for a very long time. They met up with him at 1 a.m. And he first got up at, who knows, like freaking 8 a.m.? Sometime like way around then. He was passed out for a long time. They could have just measured his body had enough time to build the outfit than him in the outfit. Hero won't be able to use the outfit himself because you need 2 people to put it on because there's a freaking latch in the back. So they passed him out, put him in the Robo Justice outfit, made it look like he was dragging like a Hifumi in the photo, and then he got dragged into the locker, they just hit him there, and then completed their murder plan. That is what I think happened in this case. My final decision in this case, my final prediction, is that Celeste and Hifumi were working together until Celeste betrayed Hifumi. So Celeste is the Blacken, and we gotta vote her out. Let's see if see how right I am.
Let's begin with a basic explanation of the class trial. So, if you can figure out who done it, then I'll punish everyone now then.
We already know who did it.
Hina, shut the hell up, alright? You're wrong. You're wrong, buddy. Listen to your friend Makoto. Listen to your friend. You're wrong.
It was Hiro. He does not have an alibi for when the murders took place. Don't try and deny it. You killed them.
I didn't. Someone knocked me out. I was asleep the whole time. I don't know anything about it.
I'm gonna have to do a lot of work here to prove this.
Shut your murdering mouth, murderer!
Who are you calling a murderer?
I am sorry to say, Hiro, but we do have evidence.
And guess what? I have like a whole freaking bucket full of evidence that would
Blueprint for the suit. Parts we assume were used to build it, and all of it was found in your room. You have to admit, the evidence is quite compelling. It points to you as having created the suit and wearing it while committing crime after crime.
How many times do I have to tell you? I don't know. I don't know.
Sure, we're the killer or anything else that can make that cool. It's a little annoying when you know, like, you pretty much know the answer, being tight by.
Everything we found in your room, the blueprints, the suit parts, they are all proof enough that you are the culprit.
I don't know anything about that stuff. It's not true. It's a conspiracy.
Hiro, why?
Bong.
Why did you kill them?
No! Just hold on a second!
Everything we found in your room, the blueprints, the suit parts, they are all proof enough.
No, it's wrong.
I can't Makoto just freaking say, she's wrong.
Are we sure Hiro really made those blueprints?
What do you mean?
Well, take a look at this. It's the note that Hiro wrote, asking everyone to meet up after Alter Ego disappeared. The handwriting's obviously different, wouldn't you say? When you compare it to the blueprints.
There's no way you could think the same person made both of them. Unless that person made it a point to disguise their handwriting.
No, the differences are bigger than that, I think.
Come on! I'm not smart enough to think of trying to change my handwriting anyway.
So Makoto, are you saying you don't think Hiro's the culprit?
And he's not the only one. I think Hiro's innocent as well.
Then who was in that Robo-Justice suit? Is it like Hiro said? Was there really someone running around in a second suit?
Hiro is in the suit.
The suspicious individual hidden within the suit. Go ahead, Makoto. Tell them who it was.
Of course you can.
So? Who was in the Robo-Justice suit?
First individual in the question, the one that must be in the suit was, Hiro.
A gun!
Hiro was in the suit. It's
Other than Hiro, I can't think of anyone else it could have been.
Because this person in the suit didn't kill anybody. They put him in the suit, left him in the locker, and pretended that he was running around.
Obviously, he was the one in that particular suit. And we never found any kind of second suit.
Then there can be no doubt. Hiro is the prime suspect.
That doesn't make any sense. You just said Hiro didn't do it.
It makes perfect sense. Hiro was the suspicious individual in the suit, but he's not the culprit.
Exactly.
So what you're saying is...
That's right. The culprit in this case has nothing to do with being in the Robo-Justice suit.
What? Now that's a bold assumption. And what reason do you have to make such a statement?
Of course. But before we get to that, there's something else we need to clarify first. So let's get that out of the way.
Hey, stop trying to boss us around!
All things have a proper order.
So what is it? What needs to be clarified?
We must clarify the method of transportation for Taka's lifeless body. It would seem that his corpse was moved using certain particular items. Makoto, can you tell us what they were?
I got it!
One more thing.
I got it! They were a dolly and a tarp, right? So, let's see if I can explain. Taka's body disappeared from the equipment room. And then we rediscovered it in the repository. And when we found it for the second time, it was wrapped in a blue tarp, right? It was the same tarp that up until then was stored in the equipment room. So the killer must have seen it there and decided to use it when they moved Taka's body. That way, they wouldn't leave any bloodstains while they were moving it.
Okay, that explains the tarp. And the dolly?
Same thing. I'm sure the dolly was in the equipment room when we first found Taka's body there. But when the body disappeared, so did the dolly.
Like, you could have literally just picked up the body, wrapped it in the tarp, and then moved it to the dolly, so you didn't place the dolly in the middle of the freaking bloodstain.
Later, when Taka's body reappeared in the repository, so did the dolly.
In other words, you think they used the dolly to move the body. Am I right? But are you sure you are not mistaken?
Huh?
What do you mean mistaken? Are you that bad at lying?
Are you absolutely positive the dolly was in the equipment room when we found Taka's body?
Yes, I literally just saw a freaking flashback of us finding Taka's body. The dolly was right there.
That dolly was made specifically for moving large objects between the repository and the art room. It would be very strange indeed to discover it had made its way to the equipment room. Is it not possible that it was in the repository all along, and you simply didn't realize it?
She's raised an objection. How do you respond?
There is no shame in being wrong. Nobody expects much from you anyway. We have all accepted the fact that you rarely understand what is going on around you.
You really understand how much I really know about this case. I never had anyone sound so nice about being so mean to me and change your mind. Why the dolly was moved from the equipment room to the repository. Reloading. Go to the bullet time battle. We're gonna add more ingredients to the recipe. Oh, we're doing a bullet time battle, right? We literally just freaking started the trial. Bottom of the screen, underneath the tempo marker, you'll see your ammo count. Until now, there hasn't really been a limit on how you destroy your opponent's statements. From now on, just locking on and pressing the left mouse button won't be enough to handle it. Now it will cost you 1 bullet to destroy a single mark. If you run out of bullets, you can destroy them with no more allowed. Or you can reload by pressing the tab key. Just locking on, okay, with the tab key. Understandable. We're doing a bullet time battle in the first, 2 minutes of the freaking class trial. Alright, then. Sure.
You have it wrong!
Yay!
I cannot agree! You are a fool! So
And I got that freaking ability with penis.
lies will get you nowhere! Do your worst! Away with you! You miserable wretch! I cannot agree! You are a fool! Lies will get you nowhere! Do your worst, you miserable wretch! You have it wrong! I cannot agree! You are a fool! So pathetic! Lies will get you nowhere! Do your worst! Away with you!
I was freaking messing up.
I cannot agree!
Hey, yeah, do that.
This should prove
What
it!
button is it to activate, my, this to help? I forgot what button that is. I don't know what button that is.
If you're asking for proof that the dolly moved, I have it right here. When I found the dolly in the repository, one of the wheels had a blood stain on it.
If you want the evidence, I have it right here. Makoto pulls the freaking dolly out of his pocket. Now, if you look right here, there's a blood stain under it.
There was a pool of blood in the equipment room with a tire mark in it that matched the dolly wheel's tread. The killer probably rolled the dolly through the blood on accident as they wheeled the body out of the room. And as the blood dried on the tire, they moved the body into the repository. So there's my proof that the dolly was used to move Taka's body.
Well, anyway, that was just something we had to get out of the way. Let's get back to the main subject.
Yeah, the subject of how Robo Justice didn't do it. Because if it's not a killer robot, then what kind of robot is it?
I'm not sure that really matters.
I'd be happy to explain why the occupant of the suit couldn't possibly be the killer. If you look back on how the body was transported, it will become immediately obvious.
Look at how the body was moved. It'll be clear what the person in the suit couldn't have done it. What does he mean by that? Bend down like this. Okay, here we go.
As we know, Taka was killed in the equipment room. And from there, the body was moved to the repository, correct?
Yeah, the culprit wrapped the body in the tarp,
Yes.
then loaded it onto the dolly and wheeled it off, right?
Now, keep in mind that the dolly doesn't have a handle.
Yes.
Well, yeah, but even without a handle, all you'd have to do is bend over.
No, that's wrong.
I thought you were the one that said you were going to bend over. Who was the one who really tried on the outfit and realized you can't bend over?
You're absolutely right that you could push a dolly without a handle if you stoop down low. But if you were wearing that suit, do you think you could actually get into a position like that?
What do you mean?
Think back to what you said when we were all
What do
checking
you
out
mean?
the suit
It's definitely
together.
not like I
Remember?
saying that you can't bend in the suit like 20 minutes ago. I definitely don't remember saying that.
When you're in that suit, not only can you not see your feet, but you can't even bend at the waist. Am I right about that?
Now that you mention it, yeah.
It seems like it'd be awfully hard to push that dolly if you couldn't bend over.
Well, what's to stop you from simply pushing the dolly with your feet?
This fucking said you can't see your feet.
When you can't even see your feet? You really think someone could kick the dolly all that way?
Yeah, it'd be totally impossible. Not that I can say for sure myself.
On top of that, if you were wearing such a rigid, cumbersome suit, it's very unlikely you would have the dexterity to go about wrapping the body in a tarp.
Well, I mean, isn't that just a matter of taking off the suit when you're ready to move the body?
There's no chance the guy can take off take it off by yourself.
Got it! I don't think taking off the suit was an option.
That's true. It seems impossible to put the suit on or take it off without...
Then, you really can't take it off by yourself? Hiro wasn't just making it up?
Of course I wasn't making it up.
If he could have gotten it off by himself, I don't think he would have let us see him wearing it. Showing up in the suit was basically an invitation for everyone to suspect it.
Yeah, that's right.
So, it's really, really true that Robo Justice couldn't have moved the dolly?
To be clear, whoever did move the body, it couldn't have been Hiro in the robot suit, correct?
No, wait. Just a second, if you please. Have you forgotten about the picture that I took?
This picture.
You all got a good look at it, did you not? The image of Hifumi being dragged away by Robo Justice?
Or Robo Justice being dragged away by Hifumi. That could definitely be what it is, you know. Insane.
If whoever was in that suit is not the culprit, how do you explain that?
Exactly, Hifumi was dragging away Robo Justice. Easy.
Besides, do you remember what the now deceased Hifumi said?
Please, that he was working with you for the love of God.
So long as those facts exist, the proper conclusion is beyond question. The individual inside the suit and the culprit are one and the same. It was Hiro, without a doubt. Yeah.
Can we just take like a freaking
Yeah,
rock
that's
and
gotta
bash
be
him
right.
to a skull at this point so she can just shut the frick up?
Hold on a second.
It's still far too early to reach that conclusion. Besides, there's no hurry to decide who did it. Before we rush to a verdict, shouldn't we explore every single possibility? Instead of seizing on one viewpoint, the truth is uncovered by analyzing things from every angle.
Perhaps, but where do we go from here?
Let's review this series of unfortunate events from the beginning. Maybe we'll uncover something new.
What a pain in the ass!
I don't disagree, but our lives are on the line. If this is what it takes, we have to do it.
Plus, maybe we'll get to find out where the heck Kyoko was when everything went down.
All right then, let's take another look back at what happened. I suppose we could start with this morning.
Okay, if this is repeating the case again, I hope you don't mind.
Before we waited that way.
And it's
So,
I know.
Because I was already went through the
that as it also we were he was in, but not.
I'm just saving us time here, you know.
When Celeste told us, and soon I saw. And then. At that Celeste. And that's when. I left.
Meanwhile, we must have, because we heard.
And that then the three of, but right after we ran. We rushed back to the nurse.
Then we. But what next thing we and after?
Celeste informed us, which is
I think.
I see. It's certain.
Okay.
Rather than from now.
Okay, now we're doing something. Okay, I was about to say. Monster property. Okay, monster property. Am I gonna have to do the?
So, regarding Taka's death, I wonder if he died before Hifumi, or perhaps it was after.
We already know what order they were killed in. Taka came last.
What makes you say that?
Because of the numbering of the Justice Hammers.
it's true that Hifumi was killed with Justice Hammer 3, while Taka's death came from a swing of Justice Hammer 4.
See? So it's obvious Taka came after.
So, regarding Taka's death, I wonder if he died before Hifumi, or perhaps it was after.
We already know Taka came last.
What makes you say that?
Because of the numbering of the Justice Hammer.
It's true that Hifumi was killed with Justice Hammer 3, while
Taka's death came.
See? So it's obvious Taka came after.
So, regarding,
I wonder if, or perhaps it was. We already know what order they were killed in. Taka came last.
What makes you say that?
Because of the numbering of the Justice.
No, it's wrong.
Touching up your sides, but I do.
Hold on. There's no reason to assume that the hammers were used in the same
like
order
that.
as their numbers.
Let's follow the hammers. Let's just listen to the killer. Let's just listen to what the killer wants us to do.
If anything, that's just another way the killer tried to disguise their actions.
So you're saying the culprit wanted us to think the hammers were used in order, but in reality, Taka was killed before Hifumi? Okay then, let's see the proof.
I was looking for Taka to the 420 or something. I looked like tiny inside. Wristwatch. Get the wristwatch. And it is wristwatch. Word. What did I just get damage on?
Now I understand.
Now I understand. Wow, congratulations.
I got it. Taka's wristwatch.
It's another word.
See?
Congratulations.
Look. It broke with the hands pointing just past 6 o'clock.
it must have gotten broken when he was attacked by the killer. Because as of last night...
Last night at the Flash Factory,
So if it wasn't broken after 6 last night, then he must have been attacked around 6 this morning.
And that would be his official time of death.
But if that's true, then he was killed well before Hifumi.
And before Celeste was attacked this morning, which happened around...
That's right. Taka was killed before any of the other incidents took place.
That simple fact slipped past all of us. We made the wrong assumption about the order of events, all because of those justice hammers.
That's exactly why the culprit wrote the numbers on each hammer and had them increase in size. That way, when we saw how they were used in each incident, we'd easily make that wrong assumption.
Now, if Taka was killed around 6, then everyone's alibis for his murder go out the window, because when he was killed, we hadn't met up in the dining hall yet.
That may be true in the case of Taka's murder, but all of our alibis still hold true for Hifumi's death.
That's right. With him, at least, we're all safe. When we heard Hifumi screaming, we were all together. Except for Hiro and Kyoko. Then we all ran down to the nurse's office, and that's where we found his body.
So why is if I was Makoto, I would then ask, okay, if you think Hifumi is dead, then how could Hifumi have been killed while local justice was doing the third floor?
That's totally true. We're all in the clear.
Oh, I know! They must have recorded him screaming on a tape or something, then played it later on!
If that's true, where's the tape?
I don't know.
Don't just go making stuff up.
Anyway, we all have rock-solid alibis for when we heard Hifumi scream. Since all of us were there together, clearly none of us could have killed him.
And it does not stop there. There was also the moment when we discovered his body had disappeared. When his body vanished from the nurse's office, Hina and I were in the bathroom together, while everyone else was in the equipment room. Correct. And then there's the disappearance of Taka's body from the equipment room. At that time, we were all gathered together in the nurse's office because of Hifumi going missing. Well, don't forget, I was passed out in the equipment room the whole time.
Wait, then what if Genocide Jill did it? She could have dragged Taka's body out of there right then!
Even if she could pull that off, there's no way she could have done the same with Hifumi's body, because, as we just established, she was passed out in the equipment room when his body disappeared.
Besides, I didn't do either of them anyway. In other words, it is impossible that any of us could have killed Hifumi or moved either of their bodies. On the other hand, Hiro and Kyoko had disappeared, so they most certainly could have done those things.
So what now, Kyoko?
Technically, Hifumi could have done it.
For now, we can't get fixated on who did it, or we'll just keep going around in circles. So instead of who, I propose we start talking about how. In particular, I think we need to figure out how Hifumi's body got moved.
Thank you for bringing that up.
That's true. We searched everywhere, but we couldn't figure out how to explain his body disappearing. And according to what Celeste said, his body apparently disappeared in the 1 minute her and Hina took their eyes off of it. But to carry that much weight from the first floor up to the third in that short amount of time?
Oh man, yeah! There's no way! It'd be impossible!
Well, what if I told you there was a way to make the impossible possible?
What? How?
If the dead body were to move itself.
Hey, who was correct about that? I don't know. Let's think about that. Who called that from like the beginning of like the trial? I think I might have done.
The dead body moved on its own?
No! Not another... Ghost!
I don't think it has anything to do with the occult. I think what she's implying is we thought Hifumi was dead, but perhaps in reality he was still alive.
He was alive?
Are you saying Hifumi wasn't carried out of the nurse's office, but simply walked out on his own?
But I mean, we found his body. He was dead.
Perhaps he was simply playing dead.
That it isn't possible.
Hifumi is still alive. It's really possible. Yes. That's obvious. Of course.
Are you saying that when we first found Hifumi in the nurse's office, there's a chance he was actually still alive?
No, it is impossible. Hifumi was dead, without a doubt.
And you know that how?
Surely you heard the body discovery announcement along with the rest of us. Hifumi's dead body had been found. And that is why the announcement was made.
Are we really so sure about that? Maybe the announcement was intended to signal someone else's discovery.
Okay, let me try this.
Are you saying that when we first found Hifumi in the nurse's office,
There's a chance No, Hifumi was dead. And you know that how? Surely you've heard the body discovery announcement. Hifumi's dead body had been found.
No, it's wrong.
There you go.
Was the body discovery announcement that was made really intended for Hifumi?
Of course it was. The announcement played right after we discovered his body.
Maybe. But that was also the same time that Taka's body was found.
That's right. It wasn't long after finding his body that we heard the announcement.
So there's a good chance we've made a mistake in there somewhere. I think we've confused whether the announcement was for Hifumi or Taka.
First of all, if 2 bodies had been found, there really should have been 2 announcements.
Maybe Monokuma simply got lazy and rolled them together into one.
What do you say, Monokuma? Any comment?
Well, it's a very sensitive issue, so I can't go into too much detail, but what I can say about the body discovery announcement is that it's only broadcast when 3 or more people find a dead body for the first time.
That didn't answer our question, man. We're asking if you're a lazy bum.
No, actually, that was plenty. He said it's only broadcast when a body is discovered for the first time. Which means, even if we find the same body again later, he won't make the announcement again. If that's true, then why was the announcement made again later on?
Huh? Later on?
Exactly. We heard the body discovery announcement twice. We heard it a second time in the repository, when we rediscovered the 2 bodies. It didn't seem weird at the time, but it contradicts what Monokuma just told us, doesn't it?
Exactly. If we were actually rediscovering both bodies, the announcement shouldn't have played.
And in reality, when the 2 dead bodies were rediscovered, one of them was actually being discovered for the first time.
So, when we found Hifumi the first time in the nurse's office, he wasn't actually dead yet. Meaning, he wasn't actually found dead until we came upon him in the repository.
And that's just part of it. There's one other thing that leads me to believe he was still alive in the nurse's office.
Oh, I know! Because he was super good at playing dead! Bada bing, bada boo!
That is the worst logic I have ever heard. But honestly, I do not think there's anything that can prove he was still alive.
I don't know, maybe there's like 5.
Okay then, let's take another look at the events surrounding the discovery of his body. Then it should become clear whether he was really alive or not.
This whole thing is pointless.
Let's be proof that Hifumi was still alive. I have to find him show to everyone. He's wearing the huge freaking hat and talk. Exactly, it's classic. We discovered the body.
Well, here's one thing we do know. The first time we found Hifumi's body was in the nurse's office. And then, while me and Celeste were in the bathroom, his body disappeared.
Yes, bing bong.
And the next time we saw his body, it was in the repository.
But when you compare his body before being moved and his body after being moved, other than the change in how it was positioned...
Oh, it was the one after. I thought that.
Shoot!
I stupid.
Well, here's one thing.
I
The
thought
first
that was
time we
talking
found it,
about
and
how
then his body disappeared.
And the next time, it was in.
But when you compare his body other than the change, there was no notable difference.
I was just too ready. I was so ready for it that I just did a little bit.
In fact, There was one clear difference between Hifumi in the nurse's office and the repository. His glasses. That fact alone proves that he was only playing dead in the beginning.
Perhaps you'd like to fill the rest of us in?
When we found Hifumi in the nurse's office, his glasses were covered with blood. But when we found him again later in the repository, they were spotless. And I found the item he used to wipe them clean in the nurse's office trash can. I got it! It was a glasses cleaning cloth featuring a certain cartoon mascot. One look at the bloodstain on the cloth should make things clear. This piece of cloth was used to wipe Hifumi's glasses clean. And the mascot on the cloth is the same one that's on the digital camera, right? And whose digital camera was it? Hifumi's, of course.
The character was Princess Piggles. From Demon Angel Pretty Pudgy Princess, I think.
I highly doubt anyone but Hifumi would have brought something like this to school.
I see your point. And the only people here who wear glasses are...
I wouldn't be caught dead using a tacky piece of garbage like that.
A few tissues is all I need to keep my glasses clean.
Then there's no question. It belonged to Hifumi.
So what you're saying is... What exactly?
What I'm saying is, the blood on his glasses was wiped away using his own glasses cleaning cloth.
Even if that is true, it does not mean he wiped the blood off himself.
But who would benefit from a clean pair of glasses other than the glasses owner?
That's a good point.
And it must have been him, right?
So let's assume that Hifumi was still alive in the nurse's office. He pretends to be dead. Then when he's alone, he wipes his glasses clean so he can see. Then he stands up and walks out on his own 2 feet. And with that, the impossible task of moving his copious corpse becomes possible, wouldn't you say?
But then, if he was just pretending to be dead, what was with all that blood? Was it paint or something?
The fridge in the nurse's office contains packs of blood for emergencies. He probably used one of those.
He figured if he was gonna play dead, he should go all out, so he just dumped it everywhere! But he got crazy with it and had to wipe his glasses off when he was done! God, what an idiot!
And if Hifumi was still alive at that point, the disappearance of Taka's body is easily explained. It should be perfectly obvious who must have moved Taka's corpse.
I got it! It could only have been Hifumi.
While we were all gathered in the nurse's office, he went to the equipment room and took Taka's body.
That also explains how the door to the repository got locked.
The door was locked? Well, after the bodies disappeared, we all went looking for them, right? So me and Sakura headed for the repository. But when we got there, the door was locked.
And the repository door can only be locked from the inside, which means when Kina and Sakura got to the repository, someone was already inside.
And it could only have been Hifumi, who just finished stashing Taka's body there.
He convinced us all he was dead, and when he saw his chance, he dragged Taka's body to the repository. So, Hifumi wasn't just another victim in this case. He was one of the assailants.
But that means he took part in the murders.
I just can't believe it.
If you're having trouble, would you like me to show you one more piece of evidence?
There's more?
Oh, absolutely. The single biggest fact pointing to his involvement has yet to be revealed. You know what I'm talking about, right, Makoto? The item he took off of Taka's lifeless body?
I got it! You're talking about the note Hifumi had hidden away, aren't you?
Hidden note?
That's right. We found it stuffed in his pants.
What? In his pants?
Yes, his pants.
Okay, well, forget about the pants for now. Take a look at what the note says.
That's the note I was telling you about. The one that told me where to go. Huh? Wait, this one's a little different. In my note it said, Monokuma can't find out, so don't tell anyone else for now. Let's meet in the rec room at 1 a.m.
See. Then this note isn't the same one Hero got.
It's not the same?
In other words, the killer got in touch with another person besides Hero, and that person could only have been... I got it! That's right! Taka!
I can imagine in the middle of the sentence, he's like, that means they reached out to somebody else besides Hero, and that person couldn't avoid, but I got it! Else, I got it!
The killer used this note to draw out Taka and murder him.
Hello? Over here! Objection! Objection! I don't really understand what's going on, but Hifumi had that letter, right? So whoever wrote it wasn't drawing out TikTok, they were drawing out Huffy!
Just to be clear, TikTok is Taka and Huffy is Hifumi.
Ugh! Yes! Why must you ruin it every time?
Wristwatch, yes, however, wrapping paper matches with the note perfectly. There are two things. I keep saying wristwatch. Woken
Huffy had the
wristwatch.
note, right?
It's a woken wristwatch.
Then the person it was intended for must have been Huffy!
Could be that,
But remember what the note said. What time did it say to meet?
6 a.m., I believe.
The time doesn't matter! The note has nothing to do with TikTok!
No, that's wrong. No, there absolutely is a connection.
What the hell are you talking about?
The note said to meet at 6 a.m., which is the same time Taka was murdered. We've already proven that using his wristwatch. But there's more. Look where the note says to meet. The equipment room, right?
Which is where Taka was killed. I see.
So, Taka was murdered at both the time and place written in the note. I think that should be plenty to show that this note was definitely meant for Taka.
Well, when you put it like that... No further objections!
Then someone used that note to trick Taka. Just the same as me. The culprit really is a cold-blooded monster. Telling people they found a way out.
But if they gave the note to Taka,
freaking easy.
what was Hifumi doing with it?
Stuffed down his pants, no less!
Most likely, Hifumi stole it off Taka's corpse after he died.
He stole it?
Where's your proof? Go ahead, show us.
So finish a note from Taka is the scrap of paper. You just gotta-
I got it! When I searched Taka's body, I saw that his lifeless hand was gripping a small scrap of paper. If I'm right about this, the sheet of paper this piece came from is... I knew it! It fits perfectly with the note we found hidden on Hifumi.
Then Taka's scrap and Hifumi.
Yup, they're from the same piece of paper.
Hifumi had the note meant for Taka, while Taka's corpse still grasped a small piece of that note. There's only one way to explain it.
Taka died clutching the note. Hifumi tried to free the note from its death grip, leaving behind only one small scrap. Did I get all that right?
That means Hifumi knew the note was important.
Exactly. Which proves that he was an accomplice in the murder.
Whoa. Yeah. After seeing all this, Hifumi was super involved in this whole thing for sure. In fact, he was behind the whole thing. In fact, he's still alive!
No, he is not.
Sorry, no. When we found him in the repository, Hifumi was truly and completely dead. The second body discovery announcement proves that.
So then, who killed Hifumi?
Celeste.
Whoever did is the mastermind, the true killer.
He was killed in the repository. So he must have been killed not long after transporting Taka's body.
So he must have been killed after Taka's body vanished, but before we found both bodies in the repository.
During that time, we'd all split up and were searching for Taka's missing body. In other words, during that time, none of us have alibis.
Wait, but me and Sakura were together.
Stop trying to steal the spotlight, you stupid walrus!
Who are you calling a walrus?
when they were killed bothers me too. But there's something that's been bothering me even more.
And what might that be?
The weapon they used to kill Hifumi.
The weapon?
Yeah, because I mean, according to the Monokuma file, the way Taka and Hifumi were killed was almost the same, with them having similar fractures and all. But Justice Hammer 3 and 4 were still laying around in the nurse's office and equipment room, right? So if Hifumi was killed in the repository, the culprit would have had to grab one of the hammers, kill Hifumi, then put the hammer back where they found it. But wouldn't that be seriously risky for him?
I'm surprised. It seems there's some semblance of a brain knocking around that skull of yours after all.
Hell yeah, it's packed in there good and tight.
He's right, though. I don't understand it either. The Monokuma file makes it clear that they were killed using similar instruments. But if the hammers were already laying around those other rooms...
So the question is, how could the culprit have gotten their hands on either of the hammers? Personally, I haven't a clue.
So which hammer was used to attack Celeste? Number 1 or number 2?
Those were accounted for in other rooms too. And I don't think either one is big enough to kill someone.
Is it not possible they used a different weapon?
I don't think it is possible. They were both killed with the same kind of thing, right?
So then, what was used to kill Hifumi?
Weapon that was actually used to kill Hifumi. How quick return in this case won't become clear until we figure that out. So I'll have to find the truth. Spotless hammer.
What was used to kill Hifumi?
The spotless hammer.
Was it Justice Hammer 3?
No, it's a spotless hammer.
Maybe Justice Hammer 4?
No, it's a spotless hammer.
Well, whatever it was, there's one thing we have to figure out. How was the culprit able to move around so freely with the weapon? How did nobody witness them carrying it?
Sounds like a Justice Hammer 5 is about to make its appearance! Check out murdergear.com/hammertime for more info!
Well, one thing seems pretty clear. The murder weapon had to be one of the Justice Hammers!
No, it's wrong. The murder weapon wasn't a Justice Hammer at all. No, it was something completely different.
But, seriously? A different weapon?
Specifically, a hammer from the repository. The killer could have easily used that to kill Hifumi. Now, all the hammers in the repository were covered in flecks of grit and debris. But for some reason, one of them had been scrubbed clean.
Huh?
And the reason it had been scrubbed clean was most likely because it was used to commit murder. If the hammer got covered in Hifumi's blood, of course they'd have to clean it off. I'd also like to point out that the repository has all kinds of hammers. Big ones, small ones, and even some flat mallet-like ones. I think whoever made the Justice Hammers used those as a basis for their design.
If that's true, that would explain the Monokuma file's note about the wounds being similar.
So Hifumi moved Taka's body to the repository, where someone then used the hammer to kill him.
Whoever did that is the true killer. The one Hifumi was working with. And the one who betrayed him.
Hold on a moment. I still think it's strange to assume someone was working together with him.
Of course you think it's strange, because you're the guy
The
who
way the
killed him.
graduation rule works, there is no benefit to helping someone else carry out a murder. So the idea that anyone would work together like that is simply ludicrous. We talked about this, did we not?
We talked about how they weren't going to even do it together. This is what we call the first brush.
Based on the rules that have been laid out for us, even if more than one person is complicit in the murder, only the one who actually carried out the act can graduate and survive. Assuming the rule holds true, it is simply impossible that two people work together on this.
That is how the rule was explained to us.
But that only really applies if there's one murder, right? In this case, however, there were 2 murders.
Based on the rules that have been laid out for us, even if more than one person is only the one who actually carried out, assuming the rule holds true.
No, it's wrong. Since there were 2 murders, it's at least plausible that more than one person was involved.
What do you mean?
If there'd only been 1 murder, then yes, the idea of an accomplice isn't really worth considering. Naturally, if only 1 person can be saved per murder, an accomplice has no risk versus reward benefit.
Risk versus reward benefit?
The payoff for working together. The reward that balances out the risk of taking part in the scheme. There's no point in being someone's accomplice if there's no benefit to you. However, if there were some potential mutual reward for the risk, then cooperation becomes possible.
You're saying that 2 people could act as each other's accomplices to commit 2 separate murders.
I think that's what the true killer told Hifumi. They would each have an accomplice for their crime, and based on the case's events, Hifumi would have been the first one to act, murdering Taka. They made him carry out the first murder so he couldn't back out of helping them later on.
So in this case, there wasn't one single person committing multiple murders. Instead, each person killed someone, creating 2 separate incidents. And it only looked like one person because that's how the true killer designed it to look. A single suspicious individual, a similar weapon used in each crime, disappearing bodies. By creating one seamless set of circumstances, they made it look like one person was behind it all.
The mastermind picked their target and managed to convince him to go along with their plan. And then, to avoid the no accomplices rule, they simply killed their accomplice. Which, if true, means that betraying Hifumi was part of the plan from the very beginning.
That's just awful. How could anyone be so cruel?
You think so? I can't help but admire its cunning. Still, their choice of accomplice seems odd.
If I made to convince us the 2 murders were the same, I was going to this time. Look at the fact from the very beginning, which is why she said not to look at it as a pursuit of the events, but in carry out the incidents. Look at really though, when you think about it, it becomes true murder.
I understand how an accomplice could be involved, but then who was the one pulling Hifumi's strings?
That's problem numero uno right now.
People are making Hifumi to carry out a number of actions and even murder him. And the debates up until now, the way the case has unfolded, to show out that there's really only one person on this. And finally, for the love of God, I finally get to
Here's my answer. It was Celeste.
So I'm the suspicious individual now, am I? I really do hate this kind of joke.
A joke? I wonder.
So what you are saying, then, is that I specifically chose to work together with Hifumi. The idea that I would choose to spend any amount of time interacting with him, that I would go within 10 feet of that shit for brains, that lazy, worthless, goddamn idiot! Pardonnez-moi.
Just to be clear, there is evidence to support it.
Is that so?
It is. Throughout the investigation, there was certain behavior that was common only to the 2 of you. Considering what we've learned so far, it only further proves that the 2 of you were working together.
I got it! The behavior they had in common has to do with the suspicious individual in the suit, doesn't it? The only ones who ever actually saw Robo-Justice firsthand were Celeste and Hifumi.
Shush. The adults are talking now.
Sorry.
As he said, only Celeste and Hifumi ever laid eyes on the costumed individual. If we accept that Hifumi was one of the culprits, we can't help but suspect what Celeste has said as well.
Are you saying everything they told us was a lie?
After taking Hifumi to the nurse's office, we all began our search for this individual, correct? And not too long after that, do you remember what Celeste said? We headed to the 2nd floor specifically because of what she claimed to have seen. Next, to draw us all to the...
She let out a blood-curdling scream.
And when we'd all come to see what was wrong, what was it she said? Once she'd done her job of getting us all up to the physics lab, it was time for her partner to get to work.
It was to get us to divide into 2 groups, so that we would discover both bodies at the same time?
In fact, Celeste was precisely the one who proposed that we split up. Well, if Celeste and Hifumi were working together, all those chance events suddenly become connected. And on top of that, that piercing cry of yours early on. That was to signal Hifumi, wasn't it? It was your way of telling him, we're on the 3rd floor, everything's going according to plan. Why else would you let out a scream that could have carried across the sea?
I just realized another strange thing. When we found Hifumi in the nurse's office, who we now know was only pretending to be dead, Celeste, you were the first one to say he'd been murdered. You wanted to make sure we wouldn't have any doubt in our mind.
I don't believe...
Hina, you were with Celeste when Hifumi's body disappeared, right?
Yeah. I was feeling kind of sick, so Celeste took me to the bathroom. Wait! Then that was...
She wasn't worried about you. She just saw a chance to help Hifumi sneak out of the nurse's office.
Each piece isn't much by itself, but start putting them together and the picture gets very ugly indeed. Wouldn't you agree, Celeste?
I have no idea what you mean.
Don't bother trying to deny it. You made one fatal mistake.
Oh, did I?
I didn't even catch it myself when you first said it, but looking back, I can say that one little slip-up was your undoing.
What are you talking about?
I'm talking about what you said after Hifumi's body disappeared and we returned to the nurse's office.
I think I know exactly what he's talking about. If you remember, I didn't say this, but I did say this, of how, notice how when we first found Hifumi's body, just she was worried, she said the line, we were going to die, just like how those guys died. Meanwhile, up to that point, Celeste would have had no idea that Taco was dead. So how does she know Taco was dead? Because she knew that was part of the plan. Right? So we're saying here, we're gonna die right here. We're all gonna die just like those guys. How the hell did she know that Taco was dead?
I remember her saying that too, but I don't understand what's so strange about it.
Then pay attention. Sakura, Toko, and I were first to discover Taka's body in the equipment room. Then Makoto showed up and told us Hifumi had been killed. So Sakura and I left with Makoto. Once we were in the hall, we ran into Celeste, and the 4 of us headed to the nurse's office. Now, the entire time we were together, none of us said anything about Taka being dead. Think about it. Celeste's comment doesn't make sense. It was completely out of place.
Yeah, I see what you're talking about. Although I don't really get what it means.
You hear that, Celeste? Everyone's having some trouble understanding. Could you repeat what you said? If you're really not the culprit, you shouldn't have any problem repeating it, right?
Like I said, it's supposed to sound like it makes sense. What's he alluding to? Nothing to do with the phone doctor, so pick up something and throw it at something else.
All I said was, they must really be enjoying this. Enjoying the sight of us standing around, frightened and confused. They must be positively elated. We are all going to die here. We are going to die, just like those guys died. And that is all I said.
And that's all it takes to finish this. It's obvious, isn't it? What was so strange about Celeste's comment?
Go ahead.
All I said, they must really enjoying the sight of us. They must be. We are all going to die. We are going to die. Just like.
I thought I just missed it.
No, it's wrong.
There you go.
That's right. There's no reason Celeste should have said, just like those guys died. When she said that, none of us had told her Taka was dead.
Exactly. And we didn't run into her until after we were all out in the hall. So there was never any chance for her to have seen his body in the equipment room for herself.
So how did you know, Celeste? How did you know more than one person had been killed? And how did you know they were both guys? Because Kyoko had also disappeared, right? So she could have been dead too.
You all have such vivid imaginations. You know that?
Imagination.
You claim that I was lying when I told you about the suspicious person I saw. Then what about the picture I took? How do you explain this picture of the costumed villain dragging Hifumi away?
It has to be some kind of setup, right? So let's put the suit on. And then she used the camera's timer to...
Have you so quickly forgotten? You are the only one who could have possibly fit into that suit. Plus, I happen to know that this particular camera does not have a timer. In other words, it is an unassailable fact that this is a picture of Hifumi being dragged away. If everything I told you was a lie, how can this picture exist?
Simple. Are we sure that's really a picture of the suspect dragging Hifumi away?
What could you possibly mean by that?
Surely there are other explanations than the one you've offered up.
No, there is no other explanation.
Other explanations? It wasn't a picture of the suspect dragging Hifumi away. The only possibility is Hifumi is dragging the suspect away.
I got it!
Exactly.
It's not a picture of the suspect dragging Hifumi away. I would say it's a picture of Hifumi dragging the suspect away.
That's certainly within the realm of possibility. The one being dragged off in that picture isn't Hifumi, but the person in the robot suit. We've simply been led to believe that it's the other way around. And the strange costume might only exist to lead us astray even farther. If you saw someone wearing something like that in this situation, of course you'd notice and be suspicious.
That's what happened! You put me to sleep and made me out to be the bad guy in all this!
Such a thing is utterly impossible. Hifumi was dragging him away? Ridiculous.
Is it? I don't think it's ridiculous at all.
Then shut your mouth and allow me to educate you.
I think you can prove that there's no way Hifumi will drag the suspect away. Is that really possible? It's not possible. Let me go costume. I don't think
You dressed me up in that suit after I passed out!
Ding.
Then you just draped me across Hifumi and had him carry my weight! You tried to make me look like the bad
Ding.
guy!
Like I said, ridiculous. As you can see in the picture, the suspect is standing perfectly upright. If the person inside the suit was unconscious, there's no way they could stand up straight like that.
No, it's wrong.
Because he's bending the suit.
No. Even if the person inside the suit were unconscious, they could still stand up like that, because that Robo-Justice suit had a certain characteristic.
That's right! They totally made a mistake when they made it, so it couldn't bend at the waist.
I'm not so sure that was a mistake. I think the suit was designed from the beginning to be used the way it was.
Celeste and Hifumi took the suit they'd specially designed and stuffed Hiro into it. That's how they were able to fake that whole thing. The point of it all was to make us believe whoever was in the suit was to blame.
Well then, I suppose this is checkmate.
Checkmate?
Don't make me laugh, you idiot! What do you mean, checkmate?
Celeste?
Clearly, you want to cram me into your little guilty box. Well, there's one little problem. Have you already forgotten what Hifumi told us as he lay dying?
Actually, hold on. Kyoko said the handbook is like important to like murdering a person, but she said you need to still keep that in mind. 3, adding on to that, technically we don't really know if Bloomberg is Celeste's actual last name. So technically, her last name could be Yasuhiro.
When we asked him who had attacked him, his answer was quite clear, was it not? He said, and I quote, Yasuhiro. In other words, Yasuhiro Hagakure!
Right! But my name isn't really Yasuhiro! It's actually Taro!
Your confusing statements don't make any sense. You're only making things more complicated.
He did say Yasuhiro, but are we sure he was really pointing the finger at Hiro?
What the hell are you talking about? I'll burn you alive!
Kyoko, what do you mean by that?
Think back to how Hifumi used to talk to us. How did he refer to each of us?
Last name.
I got it! That's right! Our last names! He called us all by our last names!
Exactly. I know I heard him say Mr. Naegi more than once, for example. So if Hifumi did mean to say Hiro's name, he would have said his last name, Hagakure.
I'm sure it was just incidental. By chance, his first name. Indecent?
Don't talk.
Random chance. Now isn't that a convenient explanation? No. There's no reason to think he would have said the name any different than normal. But he must have run out of energy before he could say any more.
So Hifumi was trying to tell us the last name of whoever killed him?
But the name he said doesn't apply to anyone here.
Well, no. Hold on. There's one person it could apply to, and that's Celeste. She never actually told us what her real name is.
That's what I said.
What did you just say? To think you'd take your false accusation so far, I don't know whether to laugh or spit! Come on! Enough with your idiotic blather! Yasuhiro is a loser's name! Do I look like a loser to you? Well, do I? What? I think I've earned the right to be a little on edge.
Okay, then fill us in. What's your real name?
Make sure your ear holes are wide open and listen up! My real name is Celestia Ludenberg. Could you please stop making me repeat myself over and over again?
We'll still won't give up. Make her accept it. Technically, just tell her if that's what you're saying is your last name. Show us your handbook then. Show us your e-handbook. Yes, e-handbook. Exactly.
Hifumi was trying to tell us something. He wanted us to know the killer's last name, Yasuhiro.
If there's one person here who might have that last name,
It would have to be you, Celeste. You haven't told anyone what your real name is.
how many times do I have to tell you? My name is...
Celestia Ludenberg, god damn it!
How long do you plan to go on pretending?
I'm not pretending. It's the truth. And since you have no way to contradict me,
No, that's wrong. That's it. The handbook.
what?
Anytime you turn your handbook on, it shows the owner's name when it boots up. Monokuma told us all about it before. So all we have to do is check her handbook, and that'll clear up everything. That's how we can find out Celeste's real name.
That's an invasion of privacy. I refuse to cooperate.
Celeste, can you please just tell us what really happened? Please, just tell us.
Even when I'm put in check, it's just my nature not to give up. Because until the game's over, you never know what might happen.
Fine then. Let me settle it. Let me go over the case again. And that'll bring everything to an end.
Here we go. Closing segment. Okay, starting off, the killer walked in, they made a deal with Fumi. Look at that. This, walk in, and they're like, okay, got a deal going on. And then right here, they set the clock, it's 1 a.m. Hero pulls up and is like, okay, what are you doing? He's like, okay, what am I doing? And then bam, they take him, knock him out, and then put him in the costume. That's when the camera keeps of this, make it look like he's dragged away. Then fast forward to 6 in the morning, past 6 in the morning. So when Taka shows up, he bonks him across the head. Then that was with Justice 4. Go back over here, just yes, this and all of that. He also took on that kind of thing. He got killed by just then he took the Taka's body, wrapped it up, and pushed it all the way to the repository. Then when he did inspect it, Celestin grabbed this mallet on the wall and bonked him across the head.
The killer is you! Before anything, the killer persuaded someone to help carry out the murder. And that person was... Hifumi. With an accomplice, the killer was able to execute a number of otherwise impossible schemes. First, they convinced someone to meet them in the rec room. That someone they met with was Hiro. The murderous duo intended to pass Hiro off as the prime suspect. So when they met up with him, they drugged him, knocked him out, and stuffed him into the Robo-Justice suit. Next, Hifumi positioned himself to make it look like Robo-Justice was attacking him, while the killer used a digital camera to take pictures of the assault. They did all this just to create evidence that would put the suspicion on Hiro. When they were done with him, they shoved him, still unconscious, into... And then finally, they called Taka to the equipment room. And that's where Hifumi killed him, making it the scene of the first murder. The murder weapon was Justice Hammer 4, which was left there in the equipment room. The reason Hammer number 4 was used was to create confusion about the order of the crimes. So, next they falsified 2 more assault incidents. For these attacks, the killers pretended to be the victims, to solidify Robo-Justice as the suspect. The first fake incident was the attack in the rec room. There, the killers wanted us to see Justice Hammer 1 and the Robo-Justice pictures they'd taken. They wanted to make sure we bought the surprise attack story. The second fake incident was the attack in the library. This time, they planted Justice Hammer 2 and an injured Hifumi to sell us that story. With these 2 incidents, the killers were able to create a certain preconception in our minds that the suspect was increasing the size of the hammers and attacking people in order as they did. We fell right into their trap and started looking for the suspect based on that. But while we did that, we left Hifumi alone in the nurse's office. This was exactly what Hifumi was hoping for. He took a blood packet from the refrigerator and Justice Hammer 3 and turned the room into a crime scene in which he himself had apparently been brutally murdered. He let out a scream to draw us back, and when we returned, that's what we found. Meanwhile, the other group that had been out searching found Taka's body at the same time. So when we heard the body discovery announcement, we naturally assumed it was for Hifumi. We left the nurse's office, and Hifumi once again took advantage of the situation. He simply got up and made his escape. When we learned his body had disappeared, we all rushed back to the nurse's office. And once again, Hifumi had the chance he was waiting for. This time, he snuck into the equipment room. He wrapped Taka's body in a tarp and used the dolly to move it all the way down to the repository. That explains how each of the bodies disappeared. But even Hifumi didn't know what the true killer had in mind for their final act. Their plan all along was to kill Hifumi and get rid of the one person who could betray them. And they did it using an ordinary, everyday hammer from the repository. That should cover everything that happened in this case. And the villain behind it all is... Celeste! Sorry, you lose.
I'm just saying. I was 100% correct in absolutely everything that happened in this case.
Lost? I lost? When was the last time I was forced to utter such words? They hang heavy around my neck.
Then you admit it? You're the killer?
Listen to you, trying to take charge, as if you're my private instructor. Celestia Ludenberg. Actually, no, Taiko Yasuhiro is fine.
You're right about that.
So, you finally accepted it.
I'm the kind of person, once I've lost, I don't like things to drag on.
Interesting.
And we are done. A. That's a lot of A's right there. My frickin' grades in the class are looking like my frickin' report card.
Okay, Monokuma. I'm ready to begin. Or, no, I suppose this is the end, isn't it?
It is indeed the moment we've all been waiting for. If you would, please locate your lever and cast your vote. And when the votes are tallied, who will become the blackened? Will you make the right choice or the dreadfully wrong one?
Hopefully they actually freaking vote for Celeste. Really, for the love of God, guys, if you don't vote for Celeste, you're really so incredibly stupid. Thank you. Let's go formality at this point, but once again, you're totally correct. For the lack of this time, the true killer devised a whole stinking scheme. Mr. Lindbergh, or more precisely, Taiko Yasuhiro.
Honestly.
I lost. Well, that sucks. Just trying to work with someone else was a mistake after all. Fumi's ineptitude was beyond all my calculations.
I knew it.
I did approach Fumi with this plan. I had to get him to agree. I can't imagine he would have happily agreed to never. First, she relied on her specialty, lying. My specialty, don't make me laugh. I didn't have to lie to get him to agree.
So then...
You can use, you need to figure it out, Kyoko. You're absolutely right to get Fumi to act with my confidence, to use her. For everyone who's still left, I'll avoid mentioning it by name, but it was the one thing Hifumi and Taka were both super into. You talking about alter ego?
Say what?
What are you talking about?
Just a second.
Don't interrupt her in the middle of a very important conversation. Play off the loop as usual, how sad.
In other words...
Then you're the one that stole it, right? That's right.
I see.
You used it to drag Hifumi into the place you'd come up with. Right again. Last time after we had our meeting about how I disappeared, I paid Hifumi a visit. And what are you doing here? If I didn't have to do this
Actually...
I was hoping I could talk to you alone. Oh, it was stolen. I know who did it.
What?
What?
Are you okay with this?
Taka. What?
So then...
Proof. Would you like to see it? Turned out I found a use for a digital camera, making you know what to Taka's room earlier. Took pictures of it there. I deleted the picture as soon as it's shown it to Fumi, of course.
Damnation!
So it was him. What did he do? He was supposed to yell if either of us get close to her. You're correct, is why Taka forced me to steal it.
Say what?
What?
As for me...
Please forgive me, he threatened me.
Oh.
Yeah.
As for me...
He came to my room last night, unannounced, and It's hard for me to even say. He abused me.
What?
What? He took pictures and said I did not do his ass. He would show them to everyone. So I had no choice.
Damnation!
It's a crime. An absolute crime. I mean, I knew he'd be going a little crazy.
Say what?
I imagine he would go that far. Amazing how completely he bought it. I can't express how enjoyable that was. I see something I never said before in my life.
Leon,
To kill him. I'm going to freaking kill him.
Most
Please,
unfortunate.
if you go now, you will be playing right into his hands.
Actually,
Taka is planning to use her to escape. He has made you his target.
What?
Escape, you don't mean. Taka's going to try to kill you. What?
indeed.
And all you have to, and also he can keep her to himself. That.
Leon, forgive
I'm
him.
not saying that word.
Honestly.
No, I'm to him continue with these barbaric acts. Absolutely not. How could I? She.
I swear!
I have to save her.
Actually,
Why would you? Then would you like to join me? It just so happens I have come up with a plan. Devise a way to reclaim what he has stolen. Let's keep this dreadful school. Once that is complete. What are you talking about? Oh, nothing. Can you agree without a second thought? The effect that item had on him was remarkable. Power of love, even though love is twisted as that, can still drive people mad with him. Disgust me.
I see.
Another question for you. What is that strange costume?
indeed.
It was a real pain in the butt, too. All he's going to do is make something to hide the face and general body size. No idea he'd make something like that. But it's my fault for picking him in the first place.
But
Why do you decide to make me a suspect? Because you're stupid. Is it?
Let's see.
And in that regard, I made the right choice. I'm so glad your stupidity surpassed my every expectation. Life may have been tough on your parents, though. I think I could cry.
Well.
When you were explaining your plan to Fumi, how did you explain the part about him finding dead? Was she asking him? What she's asking him was what was Fumi supposed to do after that, assuming you had actually let him know?
Are you okay with this?
That's simple. After he did his part and pretended to be dead, someone showed up. He told him to say he'd been seriously wounded and was on the verge of death. He just barely held on. And he really believed that? Well, of course, that wasn't all there was to it, as I kind of about questioning him about what had happened to him when he murdered someone else. At that point, Fumi would have had an alibi, so no one could doubt him. I told him that, and he believed it. It seemed very straightforward, stereotypical. I smashed the lie to the level of the opponent, in fact, and Fumi made it up. He believed, though, his lie wholeheartedly, right up until the moment of his death.
So in the
He had planned to
end,
kill him all along. But of course, there had been no point in my plan if the one who pretended to be dead did not end up dead himself.
What the heck?
And the human life means so little to you.
Well,
That's a non-issue. I simply did everything in my power to win.
don't be mean!
I sound like Byakuya.
I wonder about
He
that.
deserves his pleasure for the thrill of the hunt. In that aspect, we are nothing alike.
Why?
What made you take me so far?
What the heck?
It's really just for money? Like what the $10 million company offered us? That is a lot of money, it's true. That's not all there is to it. When I knew life here began, my only thought was to have
But-
school. How long have you been saying how I need to accept a living?
You little bitch!
Obviously that was a lie.
Hey!
And take it, I hated it from day one. From anyone else in here.
You little
Get out every
bitch!
day was fresh torture. You wanna know why?
This is fine.
Because I had a dream. Accepting a life here would have meant nothing less than giving up on my dream forever.
Honestly,
There was no way that I could ever do that. The underground world of gambling, I risked my life to make a metaphorical killing.
as for me,
It was all for that dream. What was that dream of
isn't
yours?
it wonderful?
To live in a European castle. A castle? Yeah, they're handsome men from all over the world, served by butlers / bodyguards. I was going to make them dress up like vampires and satisfy my every need. Once I obtained that, I would have created a perfectly aesthetic world of decadence.
This is fine.
In the rest of my life, there was my only dream, my only goal. That's what life is all about. One of my own winnings, one of them was $10 million would have made that dream a reality. I got right to the edge.
There
but
is nothing to be
unfortunately, my dream
done.
had been scared to the wind. Still don't have any regrets. I pursued my dream to the very end, so why would I?
Just the worst.
I'm so passionate, but you were really able to kill your own friends for it.
Oh,
Are you asking me to feel guilty? It's a pointless endeavor. I think nothing of sacrificing others for my own ends. I feel nothing.
do you
That's all there is to
understand?
me, and that's what makes me complete. Isn't it terrifying how different our values are? There's simply no room for understanding.
What is this?
So we should be saying, and plus, why can you be so calm? Don't you realize you're about to die? Why aren't you scared? The ability to lie is unrivaled, and I take pride in that. Not just other people, I can even feel my own emotions. consciousness deceives the unconscious. That's why you're not scared?
Yes, indeed.
That's right, I don't fear death. Kill me however you like. I know if I could be reincarnated, I had a choice.
Isn't it wonderful?
I think I'd like to come back as Marie Antoinette.
Hey!
You just get executed again. So smiley, and when she did, it looked like to me like a poor effort to force it. She claimed she could fool her own feelings. That statement itself must have been her final lie. That weak, fake smile is what betrayed her.
Chills!
Well done, okay, then let's get rolling. The blackness of defeat must pay the price.
Now then, I prepared a very special punishment.
For her.
Let's give it everything we've got. It's punishment
Punishment time! Yeah!
I guess I'll let Kyoko hold on to this. What?
This is...
Will it really give you the hope you're looking for? I can't say I ever saw it that way. Which is why... Actually, it's not important. Well then, take care, everyone. Perhaps we'll meet again. In another life.
There we go, game over. Celeste has been found guilty. Time for the punishment. I did this perfect. I called it from... I'm just gonna say this one more time. I called Celeste killing somebody the second Monokuma announced the motive. The second he announced the motive, I was like, Celeste is gonna kill somebody because it's money, obviously. And I was right. Burning to say, oh, they're gonna freaking burn her to death. They're gonna freaking burn her to death. Okay, that might be a little too far. Well, all of you freaking executions went a little too far. Don't worry, the fire truck is here to save the day. The fire truck is here to save the day. Or run right into you, that too. Okay then, so they put her on like a wooden stake, burnt her, and then ran her over. Great, fantastic. Put the fire out, fantastic. The firemen saved the day once again. It's over. Her execution is over. Celeste's death is over. Celeste killed my friend, so I can't pity her, but I can't deny that at one point I considered her a friend. For him to just come along and... It's just awful. Someone couldn't cut free of their regrets from the outside world, and so more people had to die.
Extreme!
They're still young. You need to place more value on your lives.
What are you gonna do?
Sitting here, I thought you guys were gonna pass the torch of hope for the next generation.
Let me out of here!
I don't care about hope. I'll throw it in the trash about this. Let me out of here.
Too bad.
All the employment of hope, whether you like it or not. My destiny to knock you down one by one. It's sad, yes it is, but that reality just can't be avoided. Don't talk like you're not. How long are you gonna make us keep going through this? What do you want from us?
Strange.
I'm so sick of people asking me that. Give it a rest already. So anyway, Kyoko did you get some kind of key type object from Celeste?
Hey!
So what's the deal with that?
What?
What's the matter?
So then,
Answer your question if you answer mine.
you...
What did you do? What did you do to me?
Who?
What?
Hey.
Anthony, what did you do to my body?
Ooh, how exciting.
Oh jeez, oh man, oh jeez, what do you mean? What did I do? I have no idea. I don't know anything about it. What's that? No? I just the body.
Hello.
You're getting kind of awkward. I think it's about time to get out of here.
Well?
You know, you guys can go on and join your school life. Get lonely, give me a shout. Not that I'll do anything about it.
See ya.
See ya. Monokuma disappeared, leaving us all depressed and in despair. Although it wasn't all despair, there was one small hope. And Kyoko, Monokuma already mentioned it, but it's that key that Celeste gave you.
So...
Most likely, it's a key to one of the dressing room lockers.
Huh?
What? Then that means Celeste's probably hidden in there.
Hey,
Suppose sometimes it's easiest to miss what's right beneath your nose. Well then, we'd better go check.
Indeed.
Good idea. We left the courtroom and rushed to the dressing room. We approached the dressing room, took a look back at us and said,
Hey.
I'm only going alone from here. Everyone else head to the dining hall. I'll check in with you later.
What?
Why exactly are you going alone?
So...
Do you even have to ask? He's spoken and she can't look at the surveillance camera.
Come on.
What do I mean? Why you? It's at the risk of you to spy, you know. And I'll go too.
What?
You? Let me go. I think your arguing is just going to draw more attention.
Goodbye.
To us. You can do whatever you want. Thank you, Jack.
Well then.
It's up to you now.
Yo!
We're going to the dining hall, okay? Makoto and Kyoko are gonna go together? Maybe I think it means. Let Makoto go like her total pushovers when you show her a little backbone. I had to forget what Hina said. Everyone headed to the dining hall. We didn't mean Kyoko there.
Shall we go?
Oh, shall we? Yeah.
So then...
I need to get into that locker. Kyoko took the key slots that given her and unlocked the locker. The locker swung open and we saw...
You're really cute.
Good morning. It's been a while, hasn't it? It's safe, thank goodness. I never heard Kyoko sound so relieved. It was like she was speaking from the bottom of her heart. Just what Celeste asked. I didn't say a word. I stayed quiet the entire time. And maybe you might be able to open the last set of files soon, maybe as early as tomorrow. I'm doing my best, so please wait just a while longer. I can officially say the case is closed. As far as this incident is concerned, sure, but can I take a second since we had this opportunity? I want you to be honest with me. So please tell me, what were you trying to do on your own here at the school? I really wanted to come here with
However...
you. Regardless, it's not something you need to know right now. Need to know? It makes me even more worried.
What?
Worried? What happened during the investigation? You disappeared and we didn't see you again. Without warning, without explanation. When you do that...
Indeed.
And naturally you'd think I'm the mastermind spy, right? No! I believe you.
What?
Believe in me. It's obvious. People believe in their friends, right? That's why I wanted you to tell me. I want you to believe in me too. We're friends.
It's true.
Maybe I can believe in you. A little bit more. Then...
That's fine.
Fine, I'll tell you. I'll tell you why I've been disappearing where I'm going. See... I swear to God, if it says chapter 4... Okay, I was about to say, I swear to God, if Kyoko says, you see, and then it says chapter 3 over. Whom Kyoko was, well, frankly, it kind of blew my mind. Right after I told Kyoko I believed in her, she told me a story that was, well, almost unbelievable. I said I had to confirm what she told me with my own 2 eyes. So I waited for nighttime to come, and when I did, I went into action.
Correct.
The boys' bathroom, the second floor, doesn't have a surveillance camera or monitor in it. There's a storage closet there, way in the back. It was way in the back of the boys' bathroom storage closet, but Kyoko would be right about this? About to happen. What's going on here? This is a normal storage closet as far as I can tell. The secret Kyoko told me about could it really be hidden here? He said it was way in the back of the storage closet, but I mean, seriously? That thing I placed my hand in the back of the storage closet, and suddenly as if we're being yanked in. Gashunk. Gashunk. At the same time as I heard that sound, I fell through the wall. I had no idea what was going on. I fell through the back of the storage closet. Huh? Turned out, the back wall was like a revolving door, and I made my way to the other side. Just like Kyoko had said.
Correct.
The boys' bathroom second floor is a storage closet. Right in the back of that closet, there's a secret room. This is a secret room. But what's in there? A bunch of files and I looked at the volume after the volume of yearbooks. They're covered in dust. Look at everything. One file at the edge of the bookshelf caught my eye. Bookpick Academy Student Registry? The only thing I hear in here not covered in dust. I've been looking at it recently. I took the file into my hand before I had a chance to take a look at it. This paper file is a file and I put my face to it. What's this? It's not leave. It's not weird. Maybe I understand if it said, like, I can't leave, but you must not leave. What is this? My head feels funny. Strange sensation. It's like deja vu. Those words, you must not leave. I've seen them somewhere before. Can't quite remember. What do I know? What don't I know? And Makoto, you should maybe look around. You should maybe dodge. Ah, well, frick. Am I dead? Am I dead now? Did Makoto just get killed and his body is about to get discovered? Strange sound rang out of my head. Felt like I was shaking my brain back and forth. And then darkness. I don't understand what's happening. I don't know what started it. It's all over. And with that, I opened my eyes. I don't know how long it had been. Looks like I am not dead. I thought it was just game over. Ow. Apparently something hit me and I lost consciousness. That's all I understood. The dull throbbing pain in my head proved that much at least. Empty bookshelf. Empty. Gone. It's all gone. Here looks at student registry and even a note that had fallen on the floor. It's all gone. What does this mean? The brain refused to do any work. The instant pain in the head began to spread across the rest of my body. For now, I should go back to my room, get some rest. My body was heavy with pain, my mind heavy with thought. I dragged myself back towards my room. I made it back to the first floor of the school. The farther I walked, the more I felt. Things were getting blurry, can't see in front of me. I found myself collapsing right here, and after all... I'm going faster than I hear a sound. There's a faint one, undeniable. The sound. From the gym? It desperately hauled my shaky frame toward the gym. The sound got stronger and stronger. Fracture. What's going on? It can't be nothing. You're in the gym? What's the frick going on? The frick y'all doing in the gym? The frick y'all doing in there? I make a sound as I open the door in the gym. The sound coming from the inside, only intensified. Kacha, pachu! Agagia, hiya, pachu! Hold on, what's going on? What the frick? Sakura's fighting on Akuma. Tell me they're ready to battle beyond impossible. Oh no, Sakura's freaking Sans now. Fool-eyed. No, one side's not human, that's for sure, but regardless, I couldn't stop staring.
Why, you? What do you think you're doing? I asked you a question. What's the meaning of this? How dare you defy me? This wasn't part of the deal!
Ooh, what are we talking about?
I've made a decision. I will no longer retreat. No longer compromise. No longer regret. I've made my decision. I'm going to resist you.
Okay, but you do realize what will happen if you go through with this, right? You haven't forgotten, have you? What I'm holding hostage?
So Sakura is the spy, and now I'm gonna hold people hostage. What am I hearing? Hostage? That's my spy is. And then they leave it there. Chapter 3, Next Generation Legend, Stand Tall, Galactic Hero, and there we go. We are officially, I can now say, we are officially halfway through the game. We are officially halfway through the game. Fantastic. I've done now 13 videos on this game, and we're only halfway through. Super Robo Justice, I got the freaking suit! I got the full-on suit. Let's go. That's what I'm talking about. I'd love to save my game. Whatever's happening here, we will figure out... Hold on, let me not do that yet. Whatever's happening here, I guess, we will figure out what the frick was going to happen at the start of Chapter 4 in the next episode of Danganronpa. I'm going to leave this episode here. We went through the third class trial, and I was exactly correct. 100% correct, to be exact. Got everything right. Knew Celeste was the killer ever since Monokuma announced the motive. Just saying. Well, anyways, in the next episode of Danganronpa, we will begin Chapter 4 and see what will be happening, who will end up dying, and who the Blackened may end up being. Which might be interesting if you only have 7 people left. Well, anyways, I'm going to leave this episode of Danganronpa here. Hope you guys did enjoy. If you guys did, make sure you guys like this video. If you guys have been enjoying my videos lately, make sure you hit the subscribe button down below. Keep in mind, it's totally free. You can unsubscribe at any time, and help me get to 100 subscribers as soon as possible. And as always, I will see you guys in the next one.